Now there's an ACT word, SAT word.
But did it fit in the context of the
Oh,
of the conversation?
wait a minute. You throwing two?
Hey,
It's
well,
a
I got
word.
tired, man. I got tired.
Putazos y Pendejadas Podcast.
This Saturday, live from Cancun, Mexico, WBC 130-pound champion Oshaki Icewater Foster will defend his title versus mandatory challenger Eduardo Rocky Hernandez. This one has been flying under the radar, but in Mexico, they are really, really looking forward to this fight. They believe in Rocky. I spoke to both camps, David. Let me go ahead and start with the Oshaki camp. I spoke to his sparring partner that has been with him every single day. He was even with him before he flew out to Cancun day of. He spent a lot of time with him. What I can get from him was he's never seen Oshaki so focused. He gave me an example one day about a month ago. He told me the guys at the gym noticed that he's been to himself, he's been quiet, he's not the same Foster that's been joking around with everybody. He's been going home to the gym. So he's focused. And one day, one of the trainers out there told him, "Hey, man, what's going on? You haven't been your regular self." He said, "Hey, man, the world can burn down right now. I'm focused on this fight." Now, usually people just say that, right? And that's what Huracan said. Some people just say that, they say, this guy really meant it. When he was saying it, he wasn't trying to think of a saying. He just said it naturally, organically. He's never seen him more focused. He's a great, great intellectual boxer, and he's seen that come out in sparring from the plan that he has. He doesn't want to go into detail about that plan, but he says he's got a plan, and he can see how smart um, Foster is. They've been throwing major, major sparring at him. Me and you saw one of his sparring partners that they're throwing at him live, Giovanni Marquez. He's a big dude, same type of fighter, pressure, 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 and a big puncher. Me and you
Big
saw
punch.
him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're throwing Huracan, friend of the show. He is probably Houston's best sparring partner. They
Very
use him
aggressive too.
everywhere.
Very
Yeah,
aggressive
very
guy.
impressive, very aggressive, same type of style, bigger. He's a 147 pounder. Also, Regis. Regis is helping him out not only in the ring, but giving him insight. He
But
is
southpaw.
smart enough to give him a look like Rocky and mimic Rocky. And I heard he's been doing that for him. Another thing that they think that may happen is don't think he's not powerful. I heard this from him and from his sparring partner, and he confirms a lot of people at Main Street Boxing Gym. They all say Foster's got some real, real power, and he may stop this guy. They actually went so far as their prediction to say they predict a knockout. Huracan predicts a knockout. He's been in there. Remember, fellas, sparring with him from day one, working with him side by side, doing the road work, doing all the work with him, sweating. He says he predicts a knockout. He didn't go too into detail about the game plan, but those are his two major attributes. Also, his counterpunching. They said his slickness. So his slickness, his focus, and his smartness. I spoke to the other camp as well. I spoke to Flick Emmanuel Jr. He's a co-trainer. They're doing great work with Venado Lopez, doing great work for Sanfer Boxing and giving his insight, helping them do what he does, teaching him his stuff. You got Jay Panda, his team there. You have Jose Alfredo Caballero working with him. He's Gallo Estrada's trainer. Both of them have separate teams. They're all under Sanfer Boxing. They have a big roster. I mean, Dave, they have professionals galore. Um,
World class fighters.
yeah, so we know he's getting good fighters, good sparring. We do also know from Flick Emmanuel that they have people that can mimic his style. Both of these camps do know each other. Trainers know each other on both sides. They're both very respectful. We let Flick know that the other camp, Foster's camp, said this guy's got a punch. He's been knocking down middleweights in camp. He's been knocking down. Huracan admitted, it's on record. We have it here. The interview's out there for you guys to see it. Please go out and check it out. Huracan said he dropped him. He dropped him, and you're talking about a 147 pounder who's taken down a lot of guys himself. He's well known around Houston. So
And not
a
many
lot of
people would admit that.
yeah, but Flick also said, look, it's sparring. It's sparring. We've had good guys too. We got all world class guys. I'm not going to tell you who we had, who he dropped, or what. They don't really want to give us too much, but what they did give us was he looks ridiculously strong. Their game plan is set. He's had some great sparring, a lot of good work. He looks stronger than ever. He's very motivated and focused himself. They predict an early knockout. They predict a knockout before the fifth round. You can see that as well. Flick, we do have him live from the press conference. I personally was big on Rocky. I was pushing Rocky, saying he's gonna change the world because I started studying him after listening to Jay Panda, listening to Jose Alfredo, and knowing who they are, up and coming big trainers in Mexico. I was sold. But now getting the insight, talking to Foster's camp and hearing how his side is going, I gotta admit I have some second thoughts, but I am going with Rocky. I think Rocky's gonna knock him out. I've talked to both camps. I've got good insight from both. Rocky does seem to be really, really strong. I know Foster is the type of guy that comes into your house and takes your heart, as he did in San Antonio. Although he is a Texas native, he was an underdog in San Antonio. That is a pro-Mexican crowd, and he went in there and took Ray Vargas's heart. He wants to go to Mexico and do the same thing. That's why they call him Ice Water. What do you think, Dave?
This fight is one of those classic boxer versus puncher fights. Foster, of course, being the slick boxer and Rocky being the rugged, hard-hitting bruiser. Both of these guys are good at doing things that the other guy isn't. It's a very interesting fight. I like Foster's ring movement. I think he has excellent defense. He has pretty solid power, as you alluded to, him dropping bigger fighters in sparring. People look at his knockout ratio. He's 20-2 with 11 KOs, but he can punch, and you can tell because he was hitting Rey Vargas, who looked like the bigger fighter, even though he was moving up in weight. But Rey Vargas wasn't running in on O'Shaquie. He was respecting O'Shaquie. So O'Shaquie does pack a punch. But I think the other thing that people don't realize is O'Shaquie can switch hit. He can fight southpaw and switch it up to orthodox, which gives him an advantage. He's used to fighting on the road as well. I don't think fighting in Mexico is going to be a big advantage for Rocky because O'Shaquie's used to fighting in other people's backyards. So, of course, that win against Vargas was a big win for him. So he's coming off a very confident performance versus Vargas. And when you look at Hernandez, I mean, there's no doubt he's a hard puncher. He's also very unorthodox. I think part of the shock that comes from Hernandez's punches is the fact that he throws weird combinations. He'll come at you with a left hook and then a left uppercut, right? Simultaneously. And those are just combinations you don't expect to block. So, when they always say the punches you don't see are the ones that hurt you the most. And when Rocky's throwing punches like that, you don't see them coming, and he's a hard puncher. Well, it amplifies the power, right? Also, he's an orthodox stance. He's a right-hander, and he doesn't have a lot of experience against southpaws. So that can be kind of tricky situation for him. And you got to think about his record too. He's only fought outside of Mexico twice. The first time he fought in the United States, he was KO'd in the first round. That was back in 2019. It was supposed to be his coming out party in the States. He fought at back then we know it as the StubHub Center, which was real famous for the wars that go on there in Carson, California. But he got knocked out in the first round. I think it was by Roger Gutierrez. So that kind of derailed Rocky's movement into the States and thinking he was going to take over in the United States as well. He's definitely a stalker in the ring. He tries to come at you and put pressure. But the one thing I noticed kind of looking at film on him as I was preparing for this, Mark, is that the guy struggles to cut off the ring. He doesn't do a really good job of cutting the ring off on opponents. If there's anybody that's going to take advantage of that, it's going to be Shock. I think Shocky's going to be able to move on him and create angles on him that will open up opportunities for countering, man. If I had to pick a winner right now, Mark, I think I'd go with O'Shaquie by decision. I think O'Shaquie just has more tools in the bank when it comes to this fight. But again, it's one of those pick 'em fights. Vegas has this really, really close. I think O'Shaquie's minus 170 and Rocky's plus 145, something like that. It's basically a pick 'em fight. But I got to go with O'Shaquie by decision. I just think he has more tools to rely on when it comes to this fight.
David, when I was talking to Flick Emmanuel Jr., he did mention O'Shaquie maybe running all night. You know, he mentioned that, right? He doesn't even say he's gonna run all night.
O'Shaquie can make the fight look ugly too. He can make it look ugly.
That's what I was gonna ask you, Dave. He says, and I wouldn't put it past Mexico, man. He said they got the smallest ring. They got a 16 by 8. He got a small ring. I wouldn't put it past the promoters and Sanfer Boxing and everybody over there to do that on purpose. Now, we got a small ring. Does that change your mind at all about the outcome?
No, it doesn't. I don't think O'Shaquie needs that much room to move. I think he has good enough footwork. Like, he's not the kind of fighter that'll dance around the ring on you. Like, he can move in tight spaces.
If you look at Flick, man, when he says that, he says he can try to run all night. We got a 16 by 8 round ring.
I don't think he's gonna run though. That's the thing.
Have that sneaky smile that
like you don't. You know. I get it. I don't think O'Shaquie has to run. Is what I'm saying. I think he can pivot and turn, and he can again.
Or maybe we'll see that power come out that people are talking about.
Right, but I think if Rocky was better at cutting off the ring, then it would be an advantage. He doesn't step to the right with his foot. He follows his opponents most of the time. If he were able to cut off the ring, then the short ring would be an advantage. So it kind of depends on, did Rocky work on that in camp? You know, Rocky, again, I don't see him as a runner. I see him as a guy who can pivot and turn on you, open up angles so that he can throw those combinations and counter you.
Right. We'll see, man. We got a great one Saturday night, guys. Tune in. It's on the DAZN. Please help us out. We're trying to get to 1,000. Help us, like, subscribe. Make sure and subscribe. That's the most important thing right now, guys. Help out the channel. Support it. We do want to continue to put these videos out there. We can't do it without your support. Once again, thank you. Thank you, David. We're up for a good one. We'll be with you guys with a recap. We may have a special guest for the recap on this fight. We don't know yet. But we may have a surprise for you guys. Tune in.
Mark, I also want to know, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Rocky's got this? Is this going to end in a KO? Or is O'Shaquie going to come away and shock the world again? I don't know.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know in the comments, guys. All right, we'll see you guys.